Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Financial Advisors Want to Know podcast. I'm Catherine Tindall, one of the CPAs here at Dominion Enterprise Services, a specialty tax and accounting firm for RIAs and other advisors, helping them with their tax strategy and preparation work. Today, I'm joined by Michael Brady. He's the Director of Sales at Mouse Software and the owner of Clarity Advisors, a new RIA in New York State. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I do. We didn't talk about this earlier, but we are kind of matching too, by the way.
Oh yeah, we've got the it's after Labor Day, so I feel like wearing white is a little faux pas, but
that's why we went with beige. Yeah.
That's right. So today we're going to talk about a couple of different topics. Because, for the advisors listening to this, I always get kind of similar questions around. And so I think a good place for us to start maybe would be just to give the people listening a little bit of background on what you do with Mouse, and just kind of the perspective that you're coming from with, some of these things we're going to be talking about.
Sure. I'm going to flip it. I'll start with the perspective. I'll give some context.
Sure. Yeah.
So I got licensed in the industry in 2012. I was still a junior in college, started with my life insurance license at a big broker dealer, got my 663, eventually was an investment advisor representative. And again, started a large broker dealer and was trained by a pretty successful financial advisor. I mean, today he's got about 700 million under management in Canada. So that means it's worth like nothing over here in the US, right? But, he was my best friend's dad. Since COVID, we kind of grew apart. And COVID for me was scary, I think, for a lot of people. It wasn't just me, it turns out. I was looking for a role. We just had children, bought a home, all this stuff. And I was like, man, I'm full-time, 100% commission. My wife's been home. I might need a job. And I'm not, too proud to say that. I think as a provider, you figure things out. And I looked around and it's like, well, I'm not going to take any relevant job. I want to find something that's going to enhance my career, create better outcomes for my clients. And I found out about these evaluation software companies, business owner advisory software companies, and I fell in love with the tool called Mouse Software. I've been there now 3 years. Through that community, I started as an account executive, moved up to director of sales, and mostly because we serve financial advisors. So through that community, I met a handful of solo RIAs, and that was super influential on me. At first, I met some folks that were in their, latter stages of life in their career who had billions of dollars under management. And I thought, well, that makes sense. They're independent. And then as time went on, I met folks that were just like me, went independent with, 10 million under management or something like that. And for me, I got really excited about that movement and really my own marketing and branding and things like that. So I went independent 8 weeks ago, was when the firm was approved. The journey started in my mind, 5 years ago as COVID happened and a distance between my best friend's dad and I, we kind of just grew apart professionally. So yeah, I'm super excited, obviously, in this new phase and continuing to serve financial advisors and other advisors, CPAs and business advisors. Anyone who's really working with the business owner should be taking a look at some advisory tools and stuff like that. So
yeah, so that's a great lead into the first topic of why business advisory is a must for RIAs. And from what you've seen with working with RIAs that are leaning into this, what's been your experience so far, watching them develop this in their practices and, why you think it's a must for them to have this focus?
Yeah. So there's a handful of reasons why, if you're a financial advisor, you're working with the business owner, there's two big parts. 80% of their net worth is wrapped up in their business. I learned that pretty early. I went and started sitting with business owners and I remember being really intimidated. And I'm like, man, they're going to show me their accounts and they would roll it out and it had $40,000 in an IRA. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I thought they were business owners. I thought this is where we're supposed to be. And that's not an uncommon story. So, where they're their wealth is really built is in their business. So that's what they need the most advice on. Not to say all financial advisors should be business advisors. That's not where I'm going with that. But if you want to make an impact on their overall net worth, it's going to be likely in their business, and helping them improve the value of their business, which is not too complicated for a financial advisor even to learn. There's a lot of business coaches out there and things like that, and those are really useful in certain places. But you're already the trusted advisor. And it's easy to help them understand that they can de-risk their business, increase the value. And then the big payday, if you're a financial advisor, you want to grow your book of business and move up market, is the liquidity event. They're going to go and sell their business one day, and you were either a part of that process or you weren't. So I think that's the FOMO part for me. Was I had a woman that owned 4 restaurants. And, I'm thankful to her. I'm really lucky because she came in and thought she sort of owed me this. She said, "Hey, I'm selling my business and I wanted to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." I'm thinking at the time I knew nothing about exit planning or business advisory. And I remember picking up my pen and writing it down as if she was telling me what her Social Security benefits were. I said, "So what do you think you'll get from the sell of the business?" And she says, "I think I'll sell it for $2 million. And I wrote down $2 million. And I remember something being off about that, thinking like, well, aren't there there's probably taxes and net proceeds I should probably figure out and all this stuff. And this is early stages. I didn't know any of these things. And thankfully she did come to me at the sale of the business. But at that time I realized there's so much more I probably could have done for her to help her achieve a higher, trading multiple. I knew what those were now. I knew what NAICS codes were and things like that. And I think that could have done such a better job for her. Yet she still remains to be a client today because she didn't expect me to do that. But I think, again, I got lucky. I think that there is plenty of fear of missing out should be a real thing for you as an advisor, that your owners might use an M&A firm that says, "Oh yeah, we do investment management too. You trusted us with the largest transaction of your life. Why wouldn't you trust our firm to making sure that goes well going forward?"
Yeah, that's a good point. And I guess a lot of it's going to come down to, when you're running your practice, what target clients do you have? Because if you are starting to work with business owners, as a CPA that, I work with advisors, but, my whole career I've been working with primarily business owners. They have very specific needs. There's a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot of misinformation out there around how things work, and especially during the exit planning process, how those transactions go down, how things are valued, how the taxes are going to play out. And then now you've had this liquidity event. What do you do from here? So I guess if you are running a firm and you're realizing, hey, I want to start targeting more business advisors, I want to be able to add this advisory component to be more valuable for them. What have you found to be good techniques or ways to attract business owners? Because they're a niche that's kind of hard to target insofar as, unless you're an absolute requirement for them, like filing a tax return is, they're typically not going to seek things out because their head is so buried in the business. So what have you found to be, successful techniques from people who have been working with Mouse that you've been working with on the advisory side or just in your own experience? Hey there, Catherine here. Thanks for listening to the conversation. Just wanted to explain a little more about what we do. So I'm a CPA here with Dominion. We're a tax firm that works specifically for financial advisors as they're growing and scaling their practices to help them avoid tax waste, make the right calls, and grow practices that they love. So if you're interested in saving more, you can DM me on LinkedIn with the word guide, and I'll send you over our guide for financial advisors to scale tax efficiently. All my top tips to unlock 6-figure savings. Thanks, and keep enjoying the show.
Yep. And in my world, I always heard phrases like, it takes 5 to stay alive, 5 different funnels of lead flow in order for you to stay alive. And I don't know how religious I am about that number, but I know for sure you need to have multiple. Mouse doesn't help with this as far as the idea of getting a networking group going. There's plenty of opportunities. There's different networks that you could, the Exit Planning Exchange, XPX is one, EPI chapters, Exit Planning Institute. You could form a chapter if you're a certified exit planning advisor. Those chapters, do a really great job of attracting owners to learn more about exit planning. but even the local BNI or your own networking group. I mean, I just joined one recently. They're just a bunch of random professionals. They get together, and you tend to find owners will go to those meetings as well if they want to grow their catering business or something like that. It really depends on the market that you're trying to serve. But what Mouse does help with is social media presence. I think a lot of folks will spend a lot of efforts on LinkedIn. And owners are certainly on there. What type of owners? Probably not your manufacturing, something like that. And those owners are the ones that usually need the most help. If you talk to a SaaS owner, SaaS owners usually start with exit in mind. So, de-risking their business isn't a crazy concept. They've already likely put some things in motion. They still could use your help, but for sure, manufacturing or something that it takes all of their efforts, and maybe they don't have the background, didn't build the business with that end in mind, so to speak. Those folks likely aren't on LinkedIn. They're likely on Facebook. And Mouse will help with that. Where it comes to, we provide marketing tools that help you create awareness, give next steps that you don't have to come up with and create on your own. So I would say it's similar to maybe like, other marketing tools financial advisors leverage, where I don't want to do the marketing. I want to buy the marketing and have the systems run on my social media or my email campaigns. So Mouse does a great job of doing that. Creatively named, the software, the marketing tool is called Attract. Helps you attract new owners and create awareness around business advisory and exit planning as a whole.
Nice. That's great. And I guess this kind of leads into the, more of the nuts and bolts. Like once you've got these business clients in, you're looking to add the advisory component. Big part of that is adding technology into it. And then, specifically using the technology for helping your relationship, and then also helping them with their exit planning, and then basically the transition process of growing your AUM after that. Mm-hmm. So what is, I guess for that conversation, what do you think in terms of like technological tools that people need to be considering, and like what's the potential benefit of getting stuff into your firm for that piece?
Sure. I think a tool that can help you address the business and the personal side of things is really rare to find. Mouse has been doing that since 1992. So they are the leading tool in exit planning. That is also why I did join Mouse. I was no silly goose. I did look at this and I said, well, Mouse captures all of the new exit planning advisors. So I'm going to hang out with these guys. They have a great tool that helps address, it's called Value Max. It helps address the owner's personal readiness, personal financial readiness, and then, of course, the business's attractiveness and readiness. So we'll take a look and basically give them sort of a high-level Zillow's estimate is the easiest way to explain it, a range of what they might be able to expect. We drill a little bit deeper by giving them some qualitative assessments that help uncover, how reliant is the business on the owner, how, is the customer concentration an issue? Is location an issue? And all of those things will result in a score. That score tells the owners and the advisor where the owner falls in that range. So we said in the beginning, maybe there were 3 million, maybe there were 7 million, somewhere in there. Well, after the assessments, we can determine that you're closer to about 5 million, which is good. But how do we close that last gap there of that remaining $2 million? That's when Mouse provides action plans. And it's not up to you. You don't have to be the know all, end all, be all for the owner, but you can provide the action plans and challenge them. Say, hey, look, these are the top topics. Which 3 are you willing to work on this quarter, this year? However that works out as far as their timeline. If they're closer to exit, we got to do a lot more work. If they're further away, take your time with this. And you can check in periodically. I think for advisors, it gives you a reason to call. Don't look at it like you need to answer all of these questions and help them, improve their branding or their operations. You need to highlight vulnerabilities and give them a call to see where they're at in the process. Maybe you call people off the bench that you like and trust that you can bring into the fold. Maybe a business advisor that's more tactical that gets in there. Then you bring them in the call. But I think it's a great tool to help. You need a tool to help facilitate that process. It's too tough to manage all of that with spreadsheets or a CRM. Like you really do need a tool to manage that pipeline of owners that are percolating and likely going to exit, in the next 10 years. And I'd love to be there for the $20 million liquidity event.
Yeah. And I think what's a good point too, that, when we're talking about exit planning, it's not like this is something where, they're getting ready to sell the business in 6 months. It's
too late.
I think, like as you're approaching these business owners, they might have no intent to sell the business at all. They might intend to hand it off to, succession to a kid, or, they just have no plan there. And I think one of the great things that you can highlight is that, exit planning isn't about the sale. It's more just a business that's good to sell is a business that's good to run. Right.
That's perfect.
And so you don't need to have the intent to sell it. The focus of making it valuable to an outside buyer makes it valuable for you yourself. Right. Yep. So I think having that as an emphasis too, as you're approaching these business clients, because a lot of them, like when I talk to business owners, and that's one of the first questions I have, when people come into our firm who are financial advisors looking for tax strategy work, that's the first question is like, well, where are you building towards? Like, what's your game plan? Like, do you want to build this to sell it? Like, do you want to, just raise up a second generation internally to the firm and then you do like an ESOP? Like, how do you want to get out of this and when? Most people have no idea. Like, they don't have a plan around that. And so even if they don't have a plan, because it's just such a highly personal thing, because it's like, how much do they want to be involved with it? You can still say, okay, well, even if you don't know if you want to sell or don't know what that's going to look like, we can still make this business super valuable as if you're going to do that. And then by the time you get there and you're like, hey, I'm done, I want to be done. Or, you have a family member who's got a health crisis and you really got to take a sidestep in the business or whatever it is, you're going to be sitting on top of a valuable asset versus something that's not sellable. So I think that's great, for advisors to consider of, you don't have to pitch okay, you're going to sell this and get a huge multiple. It's more the, let's make this valuable for you now. That's what all these techniques are going to do. Yep. So that's great. So for people who are interested in Mouse and learning more about what you guys are doing, maybe seeing a demo, I have mouse.com/book a demo. Is that the best place for people to get connected?
Yes. And it is MAUS, which is a little confusing. It's an acronym that stands for Made in Australia. We were originally an Australian company. So, MAUS.com/book a demo. And that's a great way to hop in. You'll learn a little bit more about who we are. It's a low pressure setting. We don't have high quotas or crazy things like that. So there's webinars if you want to just learn more, if you're exit curious. If you're somebody that was looking for a tool because you have owners that were ready for this, then we can throw you into a demo and you'll learn a little bit more. And super low cost. I think that's the cool part about Mouse is that we don't have, a designation you have to buy, an upfront cost of learning something, going through a course. We do provide a course at no additional cost, but we're $299 a month. That's unlimited clients, have as many owners in the pipeline as possible. And I do see a lot of folks sell this even as, more of transactional than I expected. I see folks that will sell an exit plan, like a one-time plan. And the numbers are not low on that. Anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 the owners do pay for those reports in that plan. Yeah,
no, that's great. And it's probably something that people need somewhat periodically, if you have every 5 years, update that. But well, it was such a treat to have you on the show. And for people who are interested, there's going to be links around how to connect with Michael and how to get access to, the demo and how to learn more about what Mouse is doing. So I want to thank you again for joining me. And for those listening, if you could leave a review or just your comments and thoughts, are always interested in hearing, what people take away from episodes and how we can improve. So thanks again for joining me. And thanks for listening to the Financial Advisors Want to Know podcast.